There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create
On Plus TV News Now, UK suspends Nigeria visa application for study, work and family. Minister of Power holds union-led transitional government to implement online Vice President. 70 years gone, it is time to begin to prepare for the next family visa arising from the invasion, has directed by its registrar, Ademola Bobola. It directed students to vacate their hostels within 48 hours of the notice. Bobola explained that the decision was reached after due consultation in institutions, particularly state-owned universities. Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council Osun State University, Yusuf Ali, echoed this during a press conference. It was organized to herald the 6th biannual conference, addressing and academic leadership.
The committee came into existence out of the need universities. The challenges of higher education is the 6th biennial conference promised to be an epoch-making event that will draw attention to the fundamental issues affecting higher education in Nigeria and issues
lapsed again. The minister told stakeholders that they must work together to make electricity stable. He also said the federal government would not relent in its effort to ensure improvement in the power sector. The House of Representatives is to provide an accountability mechanism to ensure that the federal government by oil and gas companies said the House would not hesitate in evoking relevant legislative authority on any stakeholder that failed to cooperate in the exercise.
That either prevaricate or refuse to cooperate in this exercise. It may be the first time in the 9th Assembly, maybe even in history, that we will need or have him arrested under the provisions of the Constitution. That's how important this exercise is. If true,
that these companies get away with it, or that people decided on their own to scuttle the process of good governance in this country. Because all over the world, I know of a truth. So that's why I say this is call for action. We are not more going to sit back and allow people get away with this kind of thing.
The disclosures were either taxes in various forms, and then the other was payment of royalty. And we are concerned about 2019, and our report emphasized that these payments were not made as at and when due as at 20th of December 2020. 20th of December 2020. So whatever happened after 20th of December 2020 can only be captured by a relevant report in 2021.
So total amount outstanding as of 1st February 2022 is $467.69 million. And out of that, MPDC owes $440.068 million. That's 94% of that amount.
The House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the circumstances that led to a train conveying passengers from Lagos to Ibadan running out of fuel midway during the journey. This followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance by the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Ndudi Elumelu. In his motion, Elumelu said the Nigerian Railway Corporation, NRC, was for the purpose of easy and of no
from Lagos to Ibadan. Mr. Speaker, in the middle of the night, the train stopped. Citizenry in risk What is happening now, where people can be shot at or kidnapped, that gives room for that kind of situation. So I feel that this House should look into this matter and even know what happened.
Passed a bill for concurrence seeking to establish the National Assembly Library Trust Fund 2 and Federal Medical Center Biliri Gombe State Establishment Bill 2020. Re-amend the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Bill 2022 passed on March 9th. This followed the consideration of a motion for recommended to move for the amendment of the bill. He explained that the re-amendment of the bill became imperative.
Issues which require fresh legislative action emerged after a critical analysis of the bill and considering the amendment that was made to close against origin of alleged proceeds of crime or other property liable to confiscation.
The Senate accordingly resolved to rescind its decision abuse.
The Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, has accused his counterpart in Edo State, Governor Godwin Obaseki, of being a politician who is given to serial.
Governor Wike said he owed the former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Adams Oshiomhole, an apology for opposing him when he insisted that Obaseki is a treacherous and ungrateful man.
PDP. Has he voted for PDP? The only election he voted was his own election when we gave him umbrella. So who has more stake in PDP? I have more stake. Because I have supported PDP always. You have never supported PDP. Rather, it was when your godfather chased you away and you came begging, kneeling down. People came with pressure and they bullied you into a government house.
Wike leadership of PDP to dissolve state party's executive when the leaders had been elected before he joined the party and had provided formidable structure for him to win the election.
If you watch and if you ask, the DNA of Obaseki is what? Betrayal, serial betrayal, and ungratefulness.
Inaugurating the project, former Minister of Information, Professor Jerry Ghana, described Governor Wike as a courageous leader.
Being our partner, you've been someone who has really shown the kind of integrity, the kind of capacity, the kind of courage, the kind of wisdom, the kind of dedication that we would love to see. Well, therefore, we are very, very proud of you.
The People's Democratic Party, the PDP, will not abandon its structure for Governor Godwin Obaseki and his deputy, Philip Shaibu. This was stated by Mr. Samuel Nwanosike, the executive chairman of the Ikwere local government area, earlier tonight while on Plus.
Philip Shaibu and Obaseki will want us to change the goalposts at the middle of a match. Before they came to People's Democratic Party to seek for help, we have already conducted congresses at the ward level, at the local government level, and at the state level. Officers have won election and they had to speak to our people. Even some of them threatened to go to court. You follow the incidents. In fact, when Fayose made that prediction, today Fayose has been vindicated. And that's why Governor Wike had to apologize to Oshiomhole. Because Oshiomhole told him, look, this man, you are doing everything to help. You don't know him. After helping him, you will understand who it really is. Today, Oshiomhole has been vindicated. What Philip Shaibu is asking for is to own a structure that will help him take over from Obaseki. So you are telling us that the People's Democratic Party should throw away our structure because Oshiomhole said he came from APC, which is what chairman. The Supreme Court have settled this matter. The Supreme Court have said that it's political party that wins election. And Obaseki and Philip Shaibu, they are aware that it's the People's Democratic Party that won the election in the last election in those states. And so we are asking them if they know that they want to test the will of the laws of Nigeria. 2, the Electoral Act. 3, the Constitution of Nigeria. If the Supreme Court have said that it's the People's Democratic Party that won the election, and Obaseki and Philip Shaibu
fees they want to throw.
Lawmakers are Ali Okechukwu, Ishelu North, Franca Okbo, Abakaliki North, and Victor Aleke, Ebonyi West. The three lawmakers and their PDP colleagues were not at the sitting. 15 APC lawmakers, however, attended the sitting. Speaker Francis Nwifuru read the letters on the floor of the House, after which he declared the seats of the three lawmakers vacant. He also ordered the clerk to write to INEC to notify the electoral body of the development and the need to conduct fresh elections in the affected constituencies. The attempt to change the leadership of the APC by a group governors was finally put to rest on Tuesday. This was with the resumption of the National Secretary of the caretaker Terret and officials of the party. They were elated to receive him back in the office after what appeared to be a short holiday. Akpanudo Hehe entered the office in style and addressed an eager press on recent events and the state of leadership in the party. Kogi State Government has berated a former Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum, Salihu Moore Lukman. This is over his outburst against the state governor and the governor Mai Mala Buni APC Caretaker Extraordinary Convention to commence payment. State President of the National Association of Nigeria Students, NANS, the government regulated pump price.
When you know that it's difficult and you need to pay extra charges before you can load from whatever the depot
for them.
Please, on behalf of my colleagues, the Okada riders here, we want to appreciate the NANS, the president, Asefon, for what he did for us. They are helping us to sell the petroleum at the normal price here, at the top company station, Basiri here. We really appreciate him, my colleagues. The Okada, we really appreciate him for what he's doing for us in Ekiti.
Bandits had abducted from the village, but the bandits killed 5 other vigilante groups when she came in the 2nd of 2021 when he complained of thigh pain. The coroner adjourned the continuation of trial until March under the directives of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, if you're not a culprit yourself, do you ever wonder why most Nigerians do not use the pedestrian bridges while crossing the roads? Well, some shared their different reasons with us on Street Views. Take a listen.
Be safe. As an elderly person, I climb it to even show example to people that this is the way to go.
Most time we are always in an hurry and you know, there is traffic everywhere and all that. So
instead of pedestrians, because we felt stressful. Before you climb this thing, you are already tired. Then some people are carrying load. So carrying load with this thing, moving up, it's another problem.
Many people want shortcuts, so they prefer crossing here than using the pedestrian bridge, but it's not right. It's good to do. You can use the pedestrian bridge.
I don't think there's any excuse saying it's because of health. I don't think there's any excuse. It's dangerous crossing the express. It's an express, it's not even an ordinary street. And it reduces traffic jam on the road if you use the pedestrian bridge.
If you look at the bridge, for instance, it's quite long. It's quite a distance. So people feel, let me just go across in 5 seconds. I'm at the other side. But I think it's safer to use the bridge. And
in Lviv, Red Cross set to evacuate civilians. Details when we return.
Insecurity Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions. Inside the Niger Delta with Mamode Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Tuesday, security forces. Tuesday's rally was the latest in a series of protests against the military takeover of the civilian-led transitional government. Pro-democracy protesters are calling for an all-civilian government to complete the now forces attempted to rape a young woman. Development said the woman was not a protester. She was in a commercial bus when forces stationed near the march routed tear gas. Escape for girls keen to continue their education. This report has more.
Eveline is preparing her school bag in Burkina Faso's Kaya. But life for the 16-year-old, who did not want to use her real name, could have been very different. Her grandfather planned to force her to murder where more than 100 young women have sought refuge. Of people live below the poverty line, covered in lash marks.
That's why I would like to make an appeal. We should all come together to stop these practices. They honour our customs, but they don't honour human beings.
Burkina Faso's government says there were over 650 cases of forced marriage and 2,200 to school has become increasingly challenging after insurgent attacks forced hundreds of teachers to close their school doors. But Eveline was determined.
I'm still a child.
Giving the teenager the chance to forge her own destiny.
Somalia failed to complete elections for the lower house of parliament by the Tuesday deadline. This is marking yet another delay in the electoral process that should lead to the appointment of a new president, which has been expected for more than a year. On Tuesday, the Hirshabelle and Puntland. The closure of the lower house elections is a crucial step towards the election of a new president. Under Somalia's complex system, federal state assemblies and delegates invested by Rupia Banda of an approximation of the former leader's footprint, starting with his service as a career diplomat and when he was vice president and acting president in 2021, urging leaders and citizens to always allow democracy to win. Buhari also prayed for the repose of his soul. 3 Ukrainian servicemen killed during a Russian air attack were buried at Lviv's of mourners packed St. Peter and Paul Garrison Church in central Lviv for a funeral service. NATO is concerned Russia might use chemical weapons in a false flag attack as part of its invasion of Ukraine. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said this on Tuesday. Stoltenberg also called a lie previous Russian claims that Ukrainian authorities operate biological laboratories in the country. On February 8, Russia repeated its accusation of several years that the United States is working with Ukrainian laboratories to develop biological weapons. Like many other countries, Ukraine has public health laboratories researching how to mitigate the threats of dangerous diseases affecting both animals and humans. Its laboratories have received support from the United States, European Union, and World Health.
And military support causing death, suffering, and an enormous amount of destruction. So China has an obligation as a member of the UN Security Council to actually support and uphold international law.
The Red Cross is hoping to organize the event of the International Committee of the Red Cross. He told a UN briefing in Geneva that the operation will be carried out with the Ukrainian Red Cross, but was not yet underway.
We will be operation today. We are on our way to Sumy at the moment. The operation hasn't yet started, which is why I reiterate that we need the operation to unfold with the agreement of the parties on those specific terms. As I understand it now, there are 30 buses that are going to be involved in total.
The Kremlin said on Tuesday that the actions of the woman amounted to hooliganism. She had interrupted a live news bulletin on Russia's state TV Channel 1 on Monday night to denounce the war in Ukraine. Ravina Shamdasani, UN...
No, of course, we followed the case of this very courageous journalist who took to live Russian television of expression. We understand there are now some 15,000 people who have been arrested in Russia in relation to protests against the war. Many have been released, some are charged and then released, some are fined and then released. It's not clear to us how many of them actually remain in detention. We do not have access to those who are detained, unfortunately.
Russia's ambassador to the United Nations said on Tuesday that Russia will put forth its own draft of a resolution regarding the humanitarian situation operation are achieved in Ukraine, including demilitarization.
As you know, France and Mexico came with a humanitarian resolution on the situation in Ukraine. It has been already more than a week that they introduced the initial draft. And we said from the very beginning that we would be prepared to adopt a humanitarian resolution on the situation in Ukraine, provided that this is not a disguise to blame and shame Russia again.
Up next, fuel scarcity pushes Nigeria's inflation rate to 15.7% in February of 2022. That's in business news after this short break. 0.70% for the month, percent year-on-year in February 2022 from 17.92% was recorded in February 2021. The rural inflation rate increased to 15.18% in February 2022 from 16.77% in February 2021. And more news on business is coming right now.
You're welcome to the business news. I am Adebanke Odunui. The Central Bank of Nigeria has pegged the minimum transaction limit for corporates and individuals transacting with bank-neutral cash hubs at 1,000,000 and 500,000 respectively. The banking regulator announced this in a guideline for the registration and operation of bank-neutral cash hubs in Nigeria. The initiative towards the goal is the bank-neutral cash hubs. Maize Farmers Association of Nigeria to the Emir of Katsina, Abdul Muminin Kabir. He said that before his resumption of office in 2015, Nigeria was a system by the association. He said that the visit to the palace was to seek more support from the Emir and also engage traditional leaders in the Anchor Borers program so that farmers in the grassroots could benefit. The federal government has commenced an advanced investigation of digital money lenders. Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission FCCPC spokesperson Babatunde Irukera made the announcement in a statement issued on behalf of the Joint Regulatory and Enforcement Task Force JRETF, comprising the FCCPC, National Information Technology Development, on certain lenders, and extracted valuable evidence and in some circumstances prohibited or restricted continuing operations. He said the FCCPC had served the order on banks suspending operations of accounts which some of the oil company now says a blast at its facility in Nembe, Bayelsa State, has cut oil export from its Brass export terminal by up to 25,000 barrels per day. The oil company said the incident was the second attack in a few days after an earlier deferred due to the incident. Now, the Nigerian unit of the Italian energy firm Eni had declared force majeure on expected oil output at Brass terminal. Gas feeds to Boni NL impact of frequent spills in the area. The bears have taken over the oil market during COVID-19 cases in China, which has fueled concerns about slower demand, being that China is the top importer of the black liquid. The global benchmark, the Brent futures, is down 5.24%, currently trading at $101.34 after tumbling by more than $6 to $100.05 earlier in the session. The United States benchmark, the West Texas Intermediate WTI crude, fell below $100 level for the first time since the 1st of March, dropping 5.2%. And that is the business news. I am Adebanke Odunui.
American reality TV star Kim Kardashian has appealed to her former husband Kanye West to start picking up the kids for school. In an earlier released video by Kanye West, he accused Kim of kidnapping his daughter on her birthday and not disclosing the location. The rapper also said he doesn't want his daughter to grow up and assumed he didn't show up for her birthday on purpose. Media personality Toke Makinwa has warned Nigerians to put some respect on her name. The media girl made this known via a Twitter page. She wrote, "I literally be on my own lane, and you lame sorry excuse-called men wouldn't have anything to offer, but your Twitter fingers constantly belittle my achievement for conversations." Nollywood actor Gideon Okeke has shared his 2 cents of actors made to sign contracts forfeiting future payments for the use of their likeness. Okeke's post comes just days after a viral video of Nollywood veteran Fabian Adibe made headlines.
Year-old football fanatic when he lost his leg in an accident. Now 26, Mustafa is proud that he never let his disability bring his football dreams to a halt. He is a member of the Pyramids football team for amputees and wishes more football clubs he will pursue and follow his dreams. He joined his team 2 years ago and says he is happy to see more football clubs establishing teams for amputees.
كانت في ناس بتقول ان انت بتضيع وقت يعني دي الحاجه الوحيده اللي كانت بتخليني ابقى مدي. انا بحب اي فريق بيعمل فرقه لكره القدم الساق الواحده. طبعا ببقى سعيد قوي يعني اول لما نادي بيراميدز عمل دي كانت بدايه كويسه بتبقى.
The team was the return of Draymond Green, who had 47 and 22 for the season.
That's vision. Draymond's got 5 is owned by smaller guys. Step back 3. Porzingis and Kuzma can't stay with number 30. A little show and go.
And the main news again. Has held an emergency meeting over power outage. I am Maureen Menong Ezigwe.